Hello, I am Jacqueline Ortiz, aka the Self Love Diva and the author of Extraordinary You. And I'm the host of the Self Love Diva Show, and it's all about skyrocketing your level of self-confidence, self-love, so you can attract that juicy, passionate, loving relationship you've always wanted. So here we go. I am thrilled. I am blessed to be hosting this show with Damona Hoffman. Hello, Damona.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Are you kidding me? It's my pleasure. You're like the TV personality, like the mayors and daters, and oh my God, everybody knows who you are. So it's amazing. Thank you for being in my show.
I'm so glad to be here, and I'm all about this self-love, so I'm really glad that that's the name of the game with you, Jacqueline.
Awesome. I'm sure everybody knows who you are, but for the 1% that may not know in this planet, Damona Hoffman is a certified dating coach and TV personality who starred in 2 A&E networks, FYI TV series, Black Love and A Question of Love. She's a contributor for CNN Headline News, HLN, BET.com, The Washington Post, Match, Oprah's O Magazine, and more. Damona also hosts a long-running weekly podcast, Dates and Mates with Damona Hoffman. Hello, all right, yay! And ladies, we have a great topic today. The topic is texting tips for daters and about ghosting gaffes and about DM slides and texting. So, Damona, tell me a little bit, what got you so interested in dating coaching?
Well, in dating coaching, I actually began doing this about 15 years ago. I met my husband online, like way back in the prehistoric era of online dating. And I was actually working as a casting director at the time, and I was teaching classes for actors and how to market themselves and have headshots that really would stand out to someone like me. And when I was online dating, I realized there were similarities between what I would tell an actor about having a picture that told their story and what I had to do to get noticed by the kind of men that I wanted to meet online. So I did that little trick that I was teaching actors to my profile, and I ended up meeting my husband. We've now been together 16 years, and soon after, people were like, well, I tried online dating, but it didn't work. You got lucky, girl. And so I'd say, well, your profile, and inevitably there would be a mismatch between what they thought they were saying and what they were actually putting out there. And when I started initially just helping friends and family with their profiles, they were like, whoa, this is working. So then they started referring me to other people, and the business really snowballed from there. So I never set out to be a dating coach, but I really figured a technique that worked in terms of writing profiles and being successful with online dating. And then I continued to grow my business from there, get certified as a life coach, and then specifically as a dating coach. And that's what I've been dedicating my life to for over a decade.
That is awesome. All right, so for us ladies who are single, me included, help us out with those texting tips and texting traps.
Well, I started noticing maybe about 6 years ago, I started noticing that people initially were coming to me for help with flirting offline and, preparing themselves for the date. But then I was getting a lot of questions about texts. Like, well, this guy sent me this text and I don't know what to say back to him, or I'm not really interested in this guy and he's still texting me. Can you make him go away? And so a couple of years ago, I developed this training called the Texting Trap, Why Your Messages Made Your Date Disappear, to help people deal with all of the nuances of texting, because it really is a whole new medium to learn to flirt within. You could be a really great offline flirt. You could go to a bar and leave with, a list full of numbers. You could be really great on a date and getting to the second date. But if you can't master the texting phase, whether you're meeting someone out and they're like, hey, let me get your number, or you're meeting someone online and they're like, hey, can we message off the app? You have to master this art to get on to the next phase. Right, Jacqueline?
Absolutely. So what are some of the traps?
Some of the traps that people fall into are feeling like, particularly for women, I feel like we are kind of taught that we have to be good girls. We have to answer questions that we're asked and sort of do as we're told. And that is absolutely not true. Whatever your mama told you, it doesn't work in today's world of dating, right? Mm-hmm. So what I recommend for my clients is to keep in mind that they only have to reveal what they feel compelled to reveal themselves. They only have to share information that that person has earned, and they never have to give away more than they want to before they get to the date. So what I see happening is people will ask, like, you're texting with this guy and he asks a really personal question. Like, I had a client who was divorced. She was coming back into the dating scene after being single, after being married for like 20 something years. This is her first time being single, and she's going through the whole process. And this guy is like, why did you divorce? Well, the real answer is that her husband was a jerk and he cheated on her. And it's like, you know, a terrible story that I'm sure a lot of the people listening will relate to. Like, I don't want to tell that story. That's not going to help us with our dating process. And she felt like, well, he asked me, so I should answer it. And I'm like, no. That's information that needs to be earned. And what happens a lot of times over text, because, you know, you're dealing with a screen and it's like very impersonal, right? And you don't realize that there is another person on the other end that you're communicating with. You reveal things that you would never reveal face to face. Like, if she was on that date with the person and he asked face to face, would she ever say, well, my husband cheated on me and this, that, and the other? She probably would hold that in and be a little bit more coy about it. So the big rule is just reveal what you want when you want it.
Absolutely. Are there more rules?
There are so many rules. There's so many texting traps and so many rules. I also find that people have trouble capturing the right tone with their text. Like, how many times have you sent a text that you meant as a flirtation or kind of kidding, and then you got an angry response back, and you're like, wait, that's not even how I meant it. So I'm a big fan of the emoji. I don't know how you feel about emojis, Jacqueline. How do you feel?
I love emojis, and I always do LOL or LMAO, because just for the same thing, yeah. Yep,
yeah. I look at emojis as a mood modifier.
Yes.
It conveys the tone. It conveys the tone of what you're trying to say, and it adds flirtation. Now, please, ladies, don't have like a wall full of emojis and like make it like cupcake, winky face.
Because then you look like a little child.
Right. Then you look immature.
Yeah.
But one emoji at the end of a sentence that says, this is the tone that I'm intending this to be read under, is really effective in getting someone to be able to read your text the way that you meant them to be said.
Absolutely. How do you feel about going texting back and forth before meeting somebody or pre-dating? What is the rule about that?
That's a really good question. I have said from the beginning, texting is for information and not conversation. Now, I used to allow clients to get out of this and say, well, I don't really like to text. I'm not a good texter, so I'll just tell them that I don't like to text. It doesn't work anymore. You actually have to master the text. But when I say information and not conversation, it means that all the juicy stuff, all the great stuff should be saved for the date. So you have to do enough texting where you get them interested in the date, you're driving forward to the date, but not so much where you've revealed everything that you would have said on the first date. And I have a really simple technique that I'll share with all the ladies now. When they get a question that they don't feel like they want to answer, or when they've been going back and forth, we've all been caught in these endless text chains, and you're like, is this dude ever going to ask me out? Or what is happening here? There are a lot of time wasters online. There are a lot of guys you'll meet out and about that don't actually intend to have a date with you, that are just doing it for entertainment purposes. And you need to be able to pull through those and make them go along on their merry way. So the simple rule, if you don't want going back and forth over text, is just to say, I'll tell you more about that when I see you in person. Winky face emoji.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Because it's not like, I work with some very type A assertive women like myself. Okay. Nothing wrong with being type A and assertive, but you know, right? I can tell, girl. But they'll come out, you know, just like direct, like, so are you going to ask me out or not? Then you're going to get this kind of response. That's You want like, oh, I'll tell you more about that when I see you in person. That's a lean forward kind of response. That's a like invitation.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you want to think of it as. Like each text is sort of an invitation to engage with you further.
I love that. Absolutely. Okay, so for the type A assertive alpha female like us, should we ever initiate texting?
Yeah, why not? Now, there's a difference between initiating texting and chasing someone. I have another rule. There's another part of the texting trap where someone is giving you one-word responses.
Oh, yeah.
Where, it's feeling like a dead conversation. They are taking 24 hours to respond to you. I'll give you a little insight. The average response rate for a text message is 90 seconds. 90 seconds. So now that's like of all text messages, that's you and your girlfriends, that's you and your dates. But still, if someone is intending to respond to you, is excited to respond to you, usually it will happen fairly quickly. So if you're going 24 hours without a response, he's just not that into you, right? Yeah. Now, there is a big change that I've seen since I started doing dating coaching and helping people with online dating is that the speed of dating has increased and the number of people who folks are dating has also increased, which I think overall is a really good thing, but it does mean sometimes you get lost in the sauce. It just happens. I know, like, we hold other people to a higher standard than the standard we hold ourselves to, right? I know, you're nodding along. Like, if you forgot to text someone, I've dealt with this. I had a client just last week. She was like, oh, I haven't gotten on any dates this week, and I'm not getting any messages. And then I went through her queue, and I was like, what about this guy from Bumble? What about this guy from Match? You didn't respond to these. And she's like, oh, yeah, I forgot, because we get busy. And it's understandable. But you have to understand that that is what's happening to the guy on the other end as well. Yeah. Okay, so to answer your question, an initial text message is not only okay, it's encouraged. I really like for women to take control of their dating destiny. I think the rules are in the process of being changed. The playing field is being leveled, and there's nothing wrong. And there's actually some data from Match. They have the Singles in America study that they do, and there's data that shows that most men really like it when a woman takes initiative. But there's a difference between taking initiative and chasing. So going back to what I was saying about the messages, about when the speed of messaging, if you haven't gotten a response from someone, you don't want to keep double texting, send them another message and another message and another message. And people always say, well, I'm just like, I want to know what's going on. I'm waiting for him to tell me. I'm waiting for the sign. Most times people aren't going to say, I'm just not that into you. If he hasn't responded in 24 hours, unfortunately, that was the sign.
That was the answer. That is your answer. Then otherwise you look so desperate. And they, like you say, pushes them away.
And even worse than looking desperate, you are investing emotional energy in a relationship that is not going to be fruitful for you. So while it's unfortunate that guy missed out on you, what it does is it opens up the possibility for you to turn your focus and attention to someone who will treat you the way that you want to be treated, who will put you on a pedestal, and who will be thrilled to respond to your text in 90 seconds or less.
I love the way you say they lost out on you. I love that. Yeah. That shows how much you love yourself and you respect yourself. Next, if it doesn't work out, you just keep going. You're not going to invest emotional energy or time or anything. That's awesome. I love that.
Well, thank you. And I tell my clients too that it's your job to find the highest possible match for you, the best possible match that is going to make you feel like everything in the world is perfect, right?
Yes.
You need that person that enhances you, that enhances your life, that makes you a better person, that makes you want to see them. Why on earth? I cannot understand, Jacqueline, why people are continuing to invest in these dead-end relationships with these on-again, off-again situations with guys that are not fulfilling them. And then they realize, like, 5 years down the road, they invested all of their time in this relationship that really was a fantasy. That they wanted to be something other than it was. And I just have to say, ladies, I've been there. Like right before I met my husband, I was in this on again, off again thing. And it was like, I really had a picture of this relationship that I wanted to be true. And I was like, I gotta just rip the Band-Aid off here and see what this really is. And so we went out to dinner and I was just like, look, this is what I want. Like, I'm interested in a serious relationship and I can't do the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, on again, off again situation. Are you with me or not? And he was like, honestly, I'm not. And I'm sorry, but this is where I am. And I was like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Because now I can clear my head and focus on something else. And 3 months later, Jacqueline, I met the man who's now my husband. And I swear to you, if I had been caught up on that other guy, I would have missed out on something way, a million times better.
Yeah. Oh my God, I got goosebumps all over myself. Yeah, it's amazing because you open up the space and your energy to let someone in, someone that would love and respect you and put you on the pedestal like a goddess instead of you chasing after them. You know, then you're always going to have that. So if it starts out that way, where you have to be chasing, it's only going to get worse from there on.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it all begins with self-love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
yes.
you know, I'm sure a lot of the ladies listening are like, oh, well, I have self-love. I practice self-love rituals. I take care of myself. But I really encourage you to look at the patterns of your dating life and what you have allowed other people to do to you, how you have allowed other people to treat you. Because I know before, like, I was practicing self-love, but I wasn't fully practicing self-love because I was letting other people take little chips, little parts of myself away with them. And that's not fair to you. And it's also not fair to them. Like, maybe there's a higher quality, perfect match for them. I mean, not better than you, of course, but like, you know, higher, there's a higher vibration is what I mean. Higher vibration match for you and a higher vibration match for them. And if you are continuing to stay rooted in that relationship, it's doing a disservice to yourself and it's doing a disservice to that other person as well.
That is perfectly worded. It's absolutely true. It is. That is beautiful. I love it. So I already know what you're going to say about this probably, but is it ever okay to send racy or sexy or nude pictures of yourself to a man?
Look, I have my guidelines. I have all of these rules. I've been doing this for 15 years. My rule is no sex. That's me. I feel like
no sex or no sexy texting.
Sex.
Oh, okay. We went straight from texting to sex. Okay, good.
That's a whole other conversation about when to have sex. I'm sure you're covering it elsewhere in the summit.
Okay.
But sex. There, did I say it right that time?
Yeah.
No sexy, racy pictures. Now, messages are one thing, but think of it this way. And I used to work I was a casting director for like major media corporations, CBS, Paramount, NBC. So I worked in like the corporate sphere. And they would always say, don't send anything in writing, no email, no text, nothing in writing that you would not be comfortable reading in front of a judge or a jury. Because there were times when, you know, we had a lawsuit and they would just pull our emails and they would read it back to you. Did you or did you not say blah, 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 blah. So I've always had the same philosophy with my clients in texting. I mean, we all saw what happened to Anthony Weiner.
I can't laugh without that name.
I don't have to make the joke. It's just there. But we saw what happened to him. And that, you know, that tore his whole life apart, his whole career apart, his relationship. So and if that can happen to him, it sure as heck can happen to you. It can happen to anyone. And, you know, you look at the iCloud, like, I know my phone, my pictures go right up to the cloud. What happens when the cloud opens up? Do you want all of your sexy pictures to be out there in the world? I don't. Mm-hmm. Now, as much as I have all these rules, Jacqueline, I also am like, you have free will. I will tell you what my philosophy is. I'll tell you what I've seen work and not work for people, for thousands of people over the 15 years I've been doing this. if you want to send a sext and that's what gets you going, girlfriend, by all means do it. Just be aware of the consequences that could come with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny because part of my self-love tribe, there was this one girl who was going out with this guy for 2 years, about to get engaged. They broke up, and all the sexy, extremely, extremely provocative, naked pictures of her went through the whole gym. And she walked in the gym the next day, a few days later after the breakup and everything. And everybody was looking at her saying, oh my God, man. She's like, what's going on? Finally, one of the guys that knew her said, this is what he's showing pictures of everybody. I mean, I'm talking X-rated things you could put on a porn site. And this is someone that she loved for 2 years. They were engaged to be married, and this is what happened. So my thing is, I have zero problems with body image or showing my pictures to anyone. I mean, showing my body to anybody, but not when it comes to having it anywhere that could come back to hurt you.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. And I actually did an episode of my podcast, Dates and Mates, on this a while back. And it's actually illegal for someone to do that, to take your image. So, I mean, I don't know if she wants to get all involved in that and prosecute.
Well, she texted to him when they were dating. So is that fair then?
No, he's not allowed to share those because it's under the expectation that they were for personal use. But, that aside, those things happen. And I'm glad you told that story because that's a real thing. And actually probably more likely than your he's falling out of the iCloud, that your ex-boyfriend, could, I mean, with the touch of a button, he can send it to the entire world.
Yeah.
Who needs that? Is it that sexy? Is it worth all that? I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I'll let you.
Absolutely not. So, what about the DM slides? What do you think about that?
Oh, DM. So let me tell you my DM strategy. If we really look at the entire framework of online dating, there's dating apps, but then there's also social media. And that is where a lot of relationships are starting now. And I'm a big fan of the DM slide. I think, I said DM slide, like it has sort of a bad reputation. It has a sex kind of reputation, but it doesn't have to be that. You can end up in someone's DM just as an opportunity to begin a conversation. And usually I find this works best when you have some level of connection, whether you're in the same Facebook group that has a similar interest or affiliation, or maybe you have a mutual friend on Facebook, or maybe you just follow them on Instagram because you really like their posts or something that they do in their free time. And when you move into the DM, you want to make sure that it's not just hey. Hey messages are the kiss of death. You want to make it referential to whatever it is that you have in common. So, hey, I saw your post on Susie's Facebook page, and I have to say I totally agree. And then my formula is usually to ask a question, and with a question that inspires more than a yes/no response.
Right.
So,
like an open-ended question.
Right. So I loved your comment on Susie's Facebook page. What's your about pasta? What's your favorite dish to cook at home? Or do you have any? What are your favorite recipes? Do you have any you could share with me? And then that opens up the possibility of a whole conversation and you two connecting on something that you have in common or something that you share a passion about.
I love that. And if he doesn't respond to an open-ended question, then he's not interested. You have nothing to worry about. You don't have to be waiting around how long it's going to take for a DM back.
No need to chase. What I would say is that you just have to keep in mind, for those who are a little less tech savvy, if you guys are not connected as friends, you're not following each other on a lot of the social media. If you send a direct message, you're going to end up filtered. And so it might be good to also comment on the page, like, ha, 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 great comment. And then also send a friend request so that you're making sure that they're actually seeing your message.
That is a very good point, because someone like me who's not very tech savvy would think, oh my God, I didn't get a response without realizing it was filtered out. So great tip for us girls.
Yeah, just today I got a DM. I saw a DM from a listener of the Dates and Mates podcast, and he'd sent it to me. I'm so embarrassed. He sent it to me a month ago, almost like 3 weeks, but he sent it to my personal page and not my professional page. And don't worry, it wasn't a dirty DM. It was just a question for his podcast. We do like a Q&A segment. And we weren't Facebook friends. So it had ended up filtered. It didn't show up at all to me. And eventually I found it because it was like other messages. And I'm like, other messages? Oh, here it is. But that just shows you, and I'm pretty tech savvy, and I check the other messages all the time. But somehow that one got lost in the sauce.
That happened to me. One of the experts for my first summit, the same thing. She responded with something on Facebook, and I never realized until this summit. So now she gets to be in this summit. So everything works out. Yep, here we go. Everything works out. Awesome. So any last tidbits or information you could give our viewers about ghosting or direct messaging or texting?
God, I could really go on and on about this subject forever. And I love online dating and dating apps. I feel like it's the best thing that has happened to dating in the last few decades. I mean, if you really think about it, even 50 years ago, your dating pool was this big. Your dating pool was whoever you knew in your community, your mom's friend, somebody from church, right? Someone you went to school with, and that was it. Someone you lived, like most people married someone that lived within a 2-mile radius of them. Yeah. Now our dating pool is opened up to anyone in the entire world. And I think that's a wonderful thing, but you have to know how to filter and sort through the matches appropriately. And texting is the first step in that filtering process to be able to tell if someone is a good match for you, if someone's worth you going out on the date with them or not. And so I'm really passionate about teaching people how to be their best selves on flirting over text, and how to tell if the text message that they're getting tells them information that makes you either more excited or less excited to see that person and get offline and into the real world.
I love that. So I know you have a very generous gift for our viewers. Could you expand on that, please?
I have something called the Profile Starter Kit, because in addition to texting being a challenge, before you get to the phase of texting, many people were coming to me saying, well, I would date online, but I don't even know how to write a profile, or I am dating online and I don't get any messages, I don't get any dates, it's not working for me. So I created a really simple kit called the Profile Starter Kit that has prompts to answer the question. You know, like on a lot of the profiles, they have that About Me section. And so they're prompts that tell you how you can answer that About Me section and get you started in writing. If you're not a writing person, I know a lot of people watching are probably like, I can't write about myself. Don't worry. I have plug and play profile templates that I've used for clients before that have been very effective. So I basically make it fill in the blank. It's like Mad Libs. Remember those Mad Libs as a kid? I make it fun. And it really works. Like when I see people using the same profile template, you can kind of cut and paste, like plug and play, and then you can be online and have a profile that's working for you like in 10 minutes or less. And it also includes a video on how to choose the right dating profile photos, which is really the key to unlocking a full inbox of choices that you can sort through and choose who you really want to go out with.
I love that. So I was going to ask you, can you give us some doable, actionable tips for our viewers for the next 24 hours? So I'm assuming that would be it, to go to your PDF, download all that, and go in your free gift and fill out the information. But in addition to that, what else?
Well, first get the Profile Starter Kit. And I guarantee you, if you're not getting the results you want with online dating, whether you're on an app right now or you're not on it and you're not getting offline, that will solve a lot of your problems, having the right profile. Number 2, start messaging. And I know we're talking to ladies, and you asked me earlier if it's okay for women to send the first message. Not only is it okay, I encourage it. I've been saying it for 15 years. People are still not hearing it. I have data from Match that says women who send messages are more successful. They say it every year. I tell people every year, women don't do it. I don't know why, but I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference in the dating algorithm. And I talk a lot more about it on my podcast, Dates and Mates, if you want me to get really granular. But for today, just trust me on that one. Those are the 2 biggest action steps. And 3, just don't go out with anyone. Don't invest your time in anyone. If your gut is telling you it's not the right match, or if you're trying to finagle a fit when it doesn't really work, or talk yourself into a date, then that's probably not the person for you. But somebody out there really is, if you have the right profile and the right dating strategy to filter through your matches effectively.
I love it. So I am sure that all our viewers are super excited to learn more about you and your tips and all your programs and coaching. And if they would like to find out more about you, how can they find out more about Damona?
Well, I'm on all of the social medias. I'm very easy to find. Don't send me a DM to my personal, kids pictures of my kids' Facebook page.
Well, we have a great podcast too. Go ahead.
I have a great podcast, but I'm on all the socials at Damona Hoffman. That's the one that is for all of my clients and for anyone that wants more advice. And I do a lot of content there. And then I also have the Dates and Mates podcast, which is a weekly podcast. It's been running for 7 years. I'm a podcast dinosaur, but I mean, there's no topic we haven't covered there. I've had so many different experts, guests. I do master classes. I give so much free content there. And you can find it on any podcast platform at Dates and Mates or at datesandmates.com. If you're not a podcast person, you can stream it right there from the site.
I love that. That is awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Damona.
Thank you.
You have been, honestly, it's been such a joy and so entertaining and so enlightening. And I'm sure all the women are so excited to go download your profile and fill it out and everything. Thank you so much, Damona.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye, ladies. Bye.